So, what is my goal in life? My goal in life is something that it sounds simple, but I think it is somewhat hard to achieve. So, my goal in life is to simply live a peaceful life. You need peace and quiet in your life. The world can sometimes be very chaotic. People can be very chaotic. So, how do I go about achieving this goal of just living a very peaceful life? So, if I break this down into like different categories, so I'll break it down by finances, career. I think those two kind of go together. Relationships, things like that. So, I'll start with my career and finances. So I work a 9-to-5 job, a pretty soulless, crappy one. But at the end of the day, it's a job and I get a paycheck. We all do it, or I guess most of us do it. And don't get me wrong, I am grateful that I have a job because I understand how hard it is to find a job nowadays. I was unemployed, last year, so I know what it's like to constantly apply to jobs and just get either rejection emails or getting no responses at all. I know the feeling. It's terrible. So yes, I do work a 9-to-5. Do I want to do this line of work for the rest of my life? Absolutely not. Where I work at, it can be very intense and, I'm not passionate about the work that I do. I would love to go into more detail about the place I work at, the place that I was laid off from, but I'm not going to post anything now about it, but maybe at a future date, I'll go more into detail about, my experiences in my professional career life. But the thing is, with working these 9-to-5s, when you're working for somebody else, working for a corporation, it made me realize that nothing is guaranteed in life. Nothing is guaranteed. It's not like back then, and I'll use my dad as an example where he worked at a company for like well over 20, 25 years. And a lot of people were like that back then where, they're loyal to a company and they work their way up and, it's not like that nowadays. You could be loyal, you could be hardworking, you could bring all this value and revenue to the company, and they'll lay you off. You are just a number to these corporations, okay? And the idea of me having to work for somebody else does not sound that great. So there's a couple things here. If I want to achieve, living a peaceful life while still having a career, right? I think there's two options, two routes that I can go with this. The first one is obviously maybe going into a different line of work, working in a different industry, just working in an environment that is different from the environment that I work in currently. Because I will tell you, the work environment, the culture that I do, it's not for everybody. And it's not the best. I will say that. So if there is a chance for me to move to a different line of work, whether it's a different company, whether it's a different Whether it's a different environment that is just a little less intense, that'll allow me to live a more peaceful life. Something where I can actually have a work-life balance where I go to a job, I do the standard 8 or less hours, and then I come home and I can just enjoy my life and keep it separate from my job. I find that really important. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, what I'm doing right now, YouTube. When I got laid off back in November of 2025, again, it made me realize that, just working a 9 to 5, like staying too comfortable in a 9 to 5 job is going to hurt you, because you never know what's going to happen. Even if the company is performing well, you can still get laid off because everybody is trying to save a little bit of money so the people up top can get even more money. And that's just how it's going to be. So getting laid off made me realize that, obviously, number one, I can't stay too comfortable in a job, but also outside of my 9 to 5, I need to be working on other things. Some people, they like to have, like they call it like a side hustle, where like they have another stream of income coming in. And I think for me, I realized that there's a chance for me to grow my channel here on YouTube, and maybe one day I could get monetized. And I know it's not going to be a ton of money, but at least I'll have something coming in. So in the event that if I were to get laid off by the next, 9 to 5 corporation that I'm working at, if I were to get laid off, I won't be so stressed out when I'm like unemployed, because I'll technically have, my YouTube thing going on and I have some money coming in. Because like when I was laid off back in November, they gave me 1 month of severance, which, here's the thing. I guess it's better than nothing, sure. But I know other companies that were giving people like 6 months of severance. And those people, if you get 6 months of severance, you can actually take time to like go on a vacation. You can take time to actually reflect and think about like what you want to do next in your career. Me, on the other hand, I got 1 month and I was freaking out. I was trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to pay my rent? Like, I had to really like reevaluate my budget. It didn't help that I have a mom. More specifically, I have an Asian mom who was, I think, more stressed out about me being unemployed than I was. So all of those things, it was like really stressful because I only had 1 month of severance, and after that, I have no money coming in. So again, with that being said, if I did have, a monetized YouTube channel, and if this channel were to grow and I have more money coming in, that's something where I would be less stressed and it'll help me live a more peaceful life. And I think in a perfect world, I would do this full time, where this was like YouTube was my main source of income. I was making a good enough money where, I could pay my rent. I can, go out to eat. I can go on vacations, but I'm also saving money. I also have money from YouTube that I'm putting into savings. That would be amazing. Being able to just work for myself doing this, because, YouTube, this is like the thing that I'm truly passionate about. I am not passionate at all about my day job, my 9 to 5. And I mean, frankly, I don't think a lot of people are, right? So I do believe that if I were to be a full-time content creator, I would be living a more peaceful life as compared to working a 9 to 5, which is what I currently do. So that's one part of it. And then the other part of, wanting to achieve living a peaceful life is my relationships, right? Relationships with friends, family, and a potential partner. So I think I'll start with my family. I think this one, it's pretty simple because thankfully, I have no issues like with my family. There's nothing wrong with them really. We all get along. We all love each other. So there's not really much that I can comment on this. When it comes to friends, the thing is, friends, they will come and go. I can make a whole separate video about that. But friends come and go, and sometimes friends, they might, everybody has things going on, and sometimes people change. Sometimes people's values might change over time, and it might not how do I say this? It might not connect with the values that I have. And that's okay. That's just life, When it comes to a potential partner, and I say that just because, I'm currently single. So I think just because of that, I am living a pretty peaceful life, which I do enjoy, simply due to the fact that I am single. Now, do I want to be single for the rest of my life? I think at this point, I've learned that I am okay with the idea of that, but I'm also okay with the idea of a partnership, sharing and building a life with somebody that I love. And, the thing is, it is hard nowadays to find somebody, and I think I'm kind of picky in the sense that, ideally, obviously, I would want somebody who checks off all my boxes, right? And I think that's hard to find. So I've accepted that, if I do want to maybe put myself back out there, if I want to try to date again, I just need to understand that, I don't think there's really going to be that person who's going to check every box off for me. And that's just the reality. So the thing is, when it comes to dating and relationships, I know people personally that they are in a relationship with a partner, and from the outside, when I look at them, they don't seem that happy. Some of them seem miserable. And I get the sense that a lot of people nowadays, they get into relationships simply because they just don't want to be single. And it's this whole comparison thing, right? It's the social media. It's this whole all of my friends are in relationships, so I should be in one too, and I'm just willing to settle. But what happens is, if you end up just settling with somebody, and if you're not truly happy, if you're just with them just because you don't want to be alone, you're afraid of being lonely, afraid of being alone, what happens is that things will come up. You will get in arguments, you're going to get stressed out, and that stress is just going to lead to depression, it'll lead to anger, and I think this is common sense, but living a life like that is not living a peaceful life. So for me, if I do decide that I want to, have a partner in my life, obviously, yes, I need to understand that the other person might not have every quality that I would like, but at least knowing what's important to me, what I value, and sticking with it. there's obviously certain things that you can kind of figure out about a person pretty early on, and if I kind of notice those signs, then I should, be realistic and ask myself, is this person truly worth pursuing? Are they compatible for a lifelong relationship? So yeah, that's basically my life goal, wanting to live a peaceful and happy life. I would say for the most part, I'm about maybe like halfway there. Once I figure things out with my career, once I'm in a better situation there, I'll be in a better place.